Today is the day is exactly why I do these as time allows, because I had every intention of doing this first thing this morning, and then it just got away from me, and I'm like, oh, time to get this done. So sorry it's late. I'm sure people have missed it that are sleeping now, but so we're on the next day, day 4 of our 21 days, and Priya, I'm going to read yours. I'm single for 18 years and I'm tired of it. I'd love to meet my life partner and have a good and loving relationship, but I don't believe I can get one. So right there, the belief, I don't believe I can get one. So that it's great that you're aware that you have that belief. I don't believe I can get one. So the fact that you have that belief, I would argue tap the heck out of that. I don't believe I can get one, but what if I can? I don't believe I can get one, but what if I can? I don't believe I can get one, but what if I can? I don't believe I can get one, but what if I can? I would argue tap the heck out of that, because that's going to help break up the momentum and the neural pathways. Hey, Kelly, that you have going around that issue. Like, I don't believe, I want a partner, but I don't believe I can have it. So the two thoughts compete with each other. And whatever you have more momentum on is the thing. So the argue tapping would be key. But here would be the question to ask yourself. I want a relationship and I don't have one because... And you always want to go with the first thought that pops in your head. It might sound like, what, that's so weird. Like, it's not safe. How could it not be safe? You don't want to question it, because that's the emotional component, and emotions are not logical. And the subconscious, thinks, thinks in pictures. So you might get a picture, but you might get that impulse of a thought, like, I want one. So what would be the upside of not believing you could have one? And people always go, what? What's the upside? There's no upside to that. But in the subconscious, there is. So you don't want to try the logical mind. That's why I say the first blip of a thought that comes through, that's the thought that you want to go with. But it's like, it's not safe. I want one, but I'm not in it. And what would be the upside of staying in the wanting? It's like, is it safer to stay in the wanting? Because, oh, what if I get in one and he's like the last person I was with, or she's like the last person I was with, or what if I don't believe I choose well? What if it's going to be a disaster for me? What if I can't trust my judgment? There's always some internal reason as to why you're not in there. And I'm going to say it this way, duking it out with the rest of us that are married and are freaking, figuring it out. And that's how I like to say it, where some of us are duking it out. Because I'm such, hey, Chris, I'm such a believer that our relationships are really there to heal us. And now here can be the thing. My relationship, I've been married before, but this relationship has been fraught with so much. And I've said this so many times. I had no idea how low my self-esteem was until I got into this relationship. Not even in my first marriage. It was this one, because of what was showing up for me. I was like, oh my God. And I went through so much to work through that, it's because of what I went through that I think it's helped my self-esteem, and it's a work in progress. And I want to say this other thing. I'm going to bring the Will Smith thing back up. I heard this perspective, and I promise we'll tap here after my monologue. I heard this perspective and I thought, ooh, that's an interesting perspective as to why Will Smith would lose his shit. So think about it this way. Here's this guy. I mean, for actors, the pinnacle of success in Hollywood is the Academy Awards. To get an Academy Award, your value, your financial value just skyrockets once that's happened. And he's already highly successful in that way. So on the night of him getting potentially the most prestigious award he could get, in a sense, and I'm going to say this, he blows it. Because now it's always tainted with this thing that happened. But this perspective that I heard was a guy that works with people that deal with narcissists. And I've heard about the open marriage piece with Will and Jada, but I don't study it. I don't care to. I'm just like, well, that's not my, it's interesting, but not something I'd be interested in. But I've come to, what's starting to unravel now is she's the one that's wanted more of the openness. And I've always thought that in open marriages, there's always one person that wants it more, and then the other person very likely has trauma. I mean, they both have trauma, clearly, to go along with it. So a lot of people were coming out and saying he's been putting up with that shit forever, and he really doesn't want it, but he puts up with it. So I started thinking about this, and when the guy said he thinks that Jada is a narcissist, I don't know, I have no idea. But I was like, wow, that is a fascinating perspective. And then to find that she's the one that's really been stepping out the bounds of the marriage and wanting that. And then people are talking about things that she said and how she publicly humiliates him. I haven't seen any of this. So I really am going by this perspective that I heard, and I'm like, well, that would make sense. If it's true, it would make sense that on the night that he is going to be revered, that he, way more than she is, something would happen to take him out. And now, as I see it, he has this incredible opportunity to heal. And I talked to somebody who read his memoirs and said, oh, it's a great book. It's really insightful. And I do think of him as someone who's pretty insightful into himself, but I'm insightful into myself. And let me tell you, there's muck that I can't see about myself, or there's muck that comes up that I'm like, whoa, that took me by surprise. So I was like, wow, there's an interesting perspective is that. So why I say that is, I do remember a little bit around his first marriage that the wife wanted to leave and he was super pissed off about it, and then he got in with Jada. So if this is all true and he's in this relationship and it's revealing stuff to be healed. And if you're not in an intimate relationship with a life partner, there's going to be somebody in your life that's going to show up in a capacity to help reveal it. It could be a boss. It could be a sibling. It could be anything. And you can still have all that and be in an intimate relationship. So the last thing I want to say before I promise it will tap is we are, and I've said this so many times, but we are so sold a bill of goods about relationships. The fairy tale, and the story always ends when they meet. It doesn't go on to what happens day to day, paying bills, blah, 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 dealing with life, dealing with each other, dealing with, oh, you can't stand the way they put the toothpaste cap on the toothpaste, or could you just put your dishes in the dishwasher? Those kinds of things. So I wanted to give that perspective because I think on an unconscious level, if you're not in a relationship, there might be a part of you that's like, I don't want to compromise like that. I don't want to have to deal with somebody else's stuff. I don't want to do that. No thanks. And then, like I said, those of us that are kind of duking it out or not, and so it's a totally different deal. We're figuring it out in a different way. So I don't know where all that came from, but for some reason I felt the need to say that. So Priya, for you, it's like, what if I had to guess, I'm still not in a relationship because it doesn't feel safe. I don't want to deal with somebody else's stuff. I might think I want to be in a relationship when push comes to shove. I got to deal with somebody else's stuff. I mean, it's a journey. It's a freaking journey. And anybody that's listening to this that's partnered, it's a freaking journey. It's a journey. And it's not the fairy tale. It's not the, like, oh. So anyway, sorry for the long monologue, but there we go. So karate chop. Even though I want a life partner, it's been a really long time for me. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being alone. I choose to acknowledge I feel this way now. Even though I want to have a good and loving relationship, but I don't believe that's possible. And if that belief is really strong, why would I be with one? I choose to acknowledge my truth right now. Even though I have this major inner conflict, part of me wants a relationship. But the other part's like, no thanks. I don't think it can happen for me. I choose to honor my truth right now. So I'm going to argue tap this a bit. Go to the other. I want a life partner. No, I don't. I want a good and loving life partner. No, I don't. I want a 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 life partner. But I don't trust what's out there. I want a life partner. But I don't believe I can have it. I want a life partner. Well, I could probably find a warm body, but a good and loving relationship? Oh, that feels harder to come by. And it just doesn't feel possible. How many people do I really know that are in a relationship and are really loving it? What am I witnessing about partnership? Maybe in the subconscious, I'm listening to friends who are partnered up. And what are they saying about it? And how might that be affecting me? Maybe I really don't believe in a good and loving relationship because I'm not hearing about many of them. And what if that's affecting me? And I don't realize that. What if it doesn't feel safe to be with a life partner? Because then I got to compromise and figure all that out and deal with someone else's stuff that might really trip my trigger. So maybe deep down, I don't want it. But then there's this part of me that really wants to take a chance, to try it and to see what could come of it. So I don't have this thing that I want. And what am I saying to myself about it? How am I making myself wrong for it? Or bad? Or different than so many others? And what if it's possible that I can start to uncover what's keeping me from being in a relationship? Not to judge or blame myself for it, but to own it and honor it. And what if by doing this, a way is made, and that life partner that I've been seeking, who is seeking me too, now has the space to arrive for me? And what if I could have peace either way? And what if that would make all the difference? So take a breath. So hope that's what I would say is you just want to keep drilling down to to try to uncover the subconscious, what if I had to guess, I'm not in a relationship because, and don't try not to overthink it. Go with the first blip of what comes up. Otherwise, the rational mind kicks in and then we intellectualize it, and that doesn't get us to the answer that we want. And it is really good to pay attention to the people that you do know that are in relationships, and how do they talk about it? Are they like, oh yeah, it's the best and I love it. I love my partner. I was working with someone a while back, and a really great guy, and so I don't live with him, so he's a great guy, but he was telling me he'd been married before, and he said, you don't realize how rough you had it till you get into something else. But then then he was telling me the whole story about when he first hooked up with his wife now, who I've met, who's a total sweetheart. Again, I don't live with her. I don't know what they go through, but he said he saw these ways he was trying to destroy it. And it was and she really was like, sorry, dude, it's not going to fly with me. But what I thought was interesting is he still talks about, they've got their issues. Of course they do, and some of us have more than others. Some of us have signed up for the fast track to learn more about ourselves. I'm one of them. Because you pick a partner, you're like, oh my God, this person trips my trigger all the freaking time. And, and I think I posted that thing this morning that I saw. It was so beautiful. It was a picture of a little guy with a little hat on and a little rabbit. And he said, oh, I brought you this flower, but I ate the petals. And he said, oh, basically, love doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as long as love is real. And to me, real love is maybe real longevity is those times when you're just like, oh my God, I can't stand my partner. And then the other times where you're like, you fall in love with them again. It's just such a journey. It's such a freaking journey. That's all I can say. And I'm not the one that's going to be like, oh, it's just butterfly farts and happy farts and fairy farts. It's work. It's absolute work. And I've had nothing else in my life that's brought up quite as much stuff as the partnership that I'm in now. And it doesn't mean it's always easy. There's times I can't stand it, but I will tell you, I have definitely learned a lot about myself more than any other time in my life through this partnership. And I'm about to hit 20 years marriage together on my 60th birthday, June 1st. So it's a journey, and then 21 years together. And when we got married, my husband's boss at the time goes, I give you 6 months. We're like, wow, thanks for the vote of confidence, Bob. So anyway, I'm very chatty today. But let's see, Kelly, that was so great. I don't really know what you were going to talk about today, but it was so spot on. That's funny. Thanks for telling me that, Kelly, because I always put the topic in, and then for some reason, when I hit record, it often bumps it out. So now I have to go. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll have to go back in and put it in there and then retag the people I tag. So I'm glad you found it helpful. Kelly, Barbara, Chris, great to see you ladies here too. And that's it. It was a chatty day for me. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.